Why do you ruin things right before they work out? You're not self-destructive. You're protecting something. In 1978, two psychologists gave people a choice that exposed exactly what. Edward Jones and Stephen Berglas ran an experiment. Participants took a test. Some of them did surprisingly well, better than they expected. Then they were told they'd take a second, harder test. And before that second test, they got a choice. Take a pill that would boost their performance, or take a pill that would impair it. You'd assume everyone picks the one that helps them. That's not what happened. The people who had just succeeded, the ones most afraid of failing to repeat it, disproportionately chose the pill that would make them do worse. Read that again. They chose to fail on purpose, before they even tried. This has a name. Psychologists call it self-handicapping. And once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere in your own life.
Think about the last time something important was on the line. Did you suddenly stay up too late the night before? Skip preparing until the last possible hour? Pick a goal so ambitious it was almost guaranteed to fail. That wasn't carelessness, it was insurance. Here's the logic your brain is running, whether you notice it or not. If you try your absolute hardest and still fail, that failure says something terrifying about who you are. But if you fail with a built-in excuse, I didn't sleep, I didn't prepare, I was too ambitious, the failure says nothing about your actual ability at all. You didn't fail, the excuse failed for you. In 1988, psychologist Claude Steele proposed a theory that explains why this feels so necessary. He called it self-affirmation theory. The core idea: people are driven to protect a coherent, positive sense of their own identity, almost as strongly as they're driven to protect their physical safety. An honest failure, trying your best and falling short, doesn't just disappoint you. It threatens the story you tell yourself about who you are. An excused failure doesn't. It leaves that story completely intact. So your brain makes a trade. It sacrifices your actual performance to protect something it considers more important: your identity. There are two distinct versions of this behavior, and you've probably done both. The first is behavioral self-handicapping. This is when you take real action to create the obstacle. Staying up too late, not studying, drinking the night before something important. You are actively building the excuse in advance. The second is claimed self-handicapping. This one doesn't require any real sabotage at all. You simply announce the excuse out loud before anything happens. I didn't really prepare for this. I'm probably going to bomb this. Even when you actually did prepare. The excuse gets planted in the room, whether or not it's true.
Both versions do the exact same job. They give your future failure somewhere else to point. There's one group of people who do this more than almost anyone else, and it might surprise you which kind of perfectionist it is. Researchers Gordon Flett and Paul Hewitt identified multiple types of perfectionism. The kind most linked to self-handicapping isn't the perfectionist who holds impossibly high standards for themselves privately. It's the perfectionist who believes other people expect perfection from them. Psychologists call this socially prescribed perfectionism. The fear isn't disappointing yourself. It's being seen falling short by people whose opinion you can't control. That fear is exactly what makes the built-in excuse so tempting. If everyone's watching, you need somewhere for their judgment to land besides your actual ability. And here's what makes this worse in the world you live in now. Every platform you use is a permanent, searchable record of your attempts. A failed project on your resume. A post that didn't perform. A goal you announced publicly and didn't reach. The stakes of an honest, unprotected failure have never felt higher. Which means the pull towards sabotaging yourself in advance has never been stronger either. So what actually breaks this pattern? Not willpower. Telling yourself to just try harder does nothing, because the sabotage was never about effort. It was about protecting your identity from an uncontrolled outcome. What actually helps is separating your identity from any single result. Not, I am someone who succeeds, which collapses the moment you don't. But I am someone who tries, regardless of outcome. A version of yourself that survives failure intact, because failure was never the threat to begin with.
The people in that 1978 experiment weren't weak. They were protecting the only thing they knew how to protect. You've probably been doing the exact same thing without ever knowing it had a name. And now that it does, you get to notice it the next time it happens. Right before you reach for the excuse instead of the attempt.